This video is sponsored by DRB. DRB helps car wash operators squeeze every ounce of profitability out of their investments using data insights, reliable, intuitive technology, and a best-in-class team. Visit drb.com for more information.
Hello and welcome to Unscripted, the video series that connects you with market leaders. Today on our Unscripted video, we welcome David Kuchenski, DRB Product Management. Hello, David, and thank you for joining us here today.
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So today's topic is on the benefits of hybrid cloud point of sale systems, as well as clearing up some of the confusion between cloud-based and hybrid cloud and on-premise POS technologies. So David, my first question for you is, as it relates to point of sale systems, what does hybrid cloud architecture mean?
Yeah, so traditionally a hybrid cloud architecture is one that refers to the system's ability to leverage both on-premise compute as well as cloud resources in coordination with each other. So key services such as the POS interface, the tunnel, payments, communications are all driven through an on-premise appliance, with important data being synced back to the cloud. Within the hybrid cloud framework, DRB is leveraging an edge computing model as well. So for those key services, and the main difference between edge computing and cloud computing is that it offers a flexible, decentralized architecture, which means that everything is processed on the device itself instead of being processed in the clouds, where you could potentially have some latency and things like that.
Okay. And how does it differ from an on-premise system and cloud-based system?
Sure. So on-premise applications are traditionally ones that are installed, on a site server or something local to that site, and all services are run on that local site. The cloud really isn't involved at all. And then, cloud-based systems are run in a cloud environment only. So it's hosted completely in the cloud and relies solely on internet connectivity to operate. So there's really no on-site resources, meaning all communications happen from every device are back to the cloud, and then what would be back down potentially to the tunnel or the payments processor.
All right. Well, thanks for going into to the differences between those systems. Can you give us a little bit of information about the benefits and the drawbacks of each system?
Sure. So let's start with on-premise. The pros of an on-premise system: you don't need any internet connectivity, so that it's using a local network, so everything can run quickly. It decreases latency, when compared to pure cloud models where, all the communications are heading back to a Microsoft Azure, AWS, or whatever it may be. The cons of on-premise systems is they're difficult to scale multi-site implementations because all the data is sitting on site. You have to deal with the synchronization of all the data back up, to create a multi-site implementation. That becomes challenging. Depending on the site server, a server failure means the site is down. So if that site server goes down, you're no longer washing cars or taking payments. In a cloud-based model, really the pros are it's scalability for multi-site implementations. The computing resources grow as the needs of the organization grow. It's native remote access, so because everything's hosted in the cloud, you can easily gain access to your configuration, things like that. There's built-in redundancy for disaster recovery and data storage. So if you do lose some data, typically all cloud implementations have a backup, and it will fail over to another instance of your application. And it's cheaper to build applications in a pure cloud model. Because you really only have one type of implementation that you're managing. The cons: it requires constant internet activity. So if you lose internet, you're not able to communicate with your application. Key services, I mentioned tunnel communications and payments. They could be dragged down by network latency, or if you lose you lose the ability to communicate over your network. If your network goes down, you're not able to communicate with your application, right? So that network latency really is key, because if you're doing a transaction at your kiosk and it has to go all the way back to the cloud and then come back down to your tunnel, you're decreasing your throughput. So there's a potential there for latency. And then, the last model that I'll talk about is the hybrid model. The pros of a hybrid model, really, you get the speed of an on-premise architecture with the benefits of a cloud implementation. So, all the key services, the tunnel services, the payments, the kiosk interfaces, the point of sale interfaces, they're all driven off of an on-site or on-premise appliance. And then, they're served to those devices. And then all the data is communicated back to the cloud so that you can leverage things like, efficient data analytics, site management from anywhere, things like that. So it's really kind of the best of both worlds. Offline scenarios in a hybrid model, because you have that appliance, you're still able to operate in an offline scenario. So if you do lose connection at your site, you're able to still process transactions and keep cars going through the wash. Additionally, it's extremely flexible, and it's going to allow DRB to integrate with various cloud services, things like data analytics, with a precise control of the locale, really reliable infrastructure. We're going to be able to keep you up and running, things like that. Cons for a hybrid cloud environment. It's more expensive for a POS provider to build it this way. I think that's why some people don't necessarily build their POS in a hybrid model. Because it does take a sizable investment up front to build that type of architecture. It's a complex architecture, requiring a mature software development organization. The site appliance goes down, it needs to be replaced or returned to return the wash to operational state. Typically, DRB can replace those within 24 hours, or customers have the option to purchase a backup there. So there's a failover plan.
All right. Well, certainly a lot of things to consider with these three options that you've discussed here today. David, we thank you for taking the time to do this interview for carwash.com.
Thanks, Rich. It's been a pleasure.